Some Canadians are already receiving letters from the Canada Revenue Agency saying they'll be taxed on their Canada Emergency Response benefit payments if they're not paid back by the end of the year. Does that mean it's time for you to give your CERB payments back to the government? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Danish, and I make personal finance, investing, and real estate topics easy to understand and keep up with. The CERB program provided a $2,000 monthly payment to out-of-work Canadians between March 15th and October 3rd of 2020. Since then, it has been replaced by an entirely new benefit called the Canada Recovery Benefit. Close to 9 million Canadians have applied for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. That's a quarter of Canada's population. Of the 9 million CERB recipients, 441,000 have been sent warning letters suggesting that they need to pay back their CERB payments either in full or partially, depending on your circumstances surrounding your claim. The reason for these letters being sent out has focused on one major requirement that you had to qualify for if you wanted to collect CERB. The requirement having at least $5,000 in net income. The CRA letter specifically reads, to be eligible for CERB, you must have earned employment income or self-employment income of at least $5,000 in 2019, or in the last 12 months before the date of your application. First, I want to focus on earned income and self-employment income. There seems to be a lot of confusion surrounding this terminology. For CERB purposes, earned income does not include interest income, dividend income, pension income, or income from capital gains. The purpose for CERB was to replace the working income of Canadians who could not physically work due to COVID-19. The other piece that's causing confusion surrounding that $5,000 requirement is net income from employment or self-employment. Net income is not the same as gross income. For example, let's say you're working for Skip the Dishes doing food deliveries. When you go fill out your T2125 on your tax return, you do not pay taxes on your top line, which is the straight up income you receive from Skip the Dishes. You will have costs such as gas, insurance, cell phone, etc. You pay tax on what's left over after you deduct these various expenses from your top line. These expenses are your cost for earning income. The amount that's left over is what's known as net income. The CBC recently reported that a University of Ottawa student has been told he has to repay $12,000 of his CERB. To summarize the article, Nick, the student, owes the federal government $12,000. He's a third-year student who lost his part-time job and co-op placement because of COVID-19. Like many others in similar situations, he called the CRA to inquire about applying for the CERB program when it was first launched. A CRA rep told him that as long as he made more than $5,000 in 2019, he would qualify for the program. Later, the federal government launched the Canada Emergency Student Benefit Program. Nick called the CRA again and asked if he should switch from the CERB program to this new program that was launched specifically for students. He was told by the CRA that he should stick to the CERB program as that's a better option. So far, Nick has done all the right things by being a responsible individual, asking all the right questions. Now, he's among the thousands of Canadians being sent letters by the CRA asking them to repay their CERB. You might be thinking, if Nick did all the right things, then what went wrong? Nick was under the impression that his 2019 gross income was above the $5,000 threshold required to qualify. Problem is that the eligibility is actually based on net income. If you're scraping by and only making a few $100s a week, how does the government expect for you to pay back $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 back all at once? In the letter that's been sent out by the CRA, it does advise you have to pay your CERB back by the end of 2020. And at the time of this recording, that only leaves you with a few short days. However, if you made an honest mistake, there will be no penalties or interest charged if you happen to miss this date. Doesn't mean you don't have to pay it all, but it does give you more time to arrange your funds to pay the CRA back if you have already spent your CERB. The problem that I have with this letter is that it doesn't even reference the term net income, which is why there's so much confusion as to whether the $5,000 requirement refers to gross income or net income. To the CRA, if you are trying to collect from Canadians over confusing terms starting new programs, please ensure you use the right terminology across all your methods of communication. It's very frustrating to Canadians who are receiving these letters without clear clarification. The CRA has recognized that they have made errors in their communication regarding the requirements for CERB. This statement was recently published in the Toronto Star. They go on to say that there was a lot of miscommunication on this topic as the CERB program was just being launched. At that point, they were just focused on rolling the program out and getting the money out the door. It's because of this, information on CERB web pages, information provided to call center agents, there was a clear lack of consistency and clarity across the board. This led to misinformation being passed on to individuals, thinking that they could apply for the CERB program despite being ineligible. The Toronto Star goes on to say that the call center agents did not receive the most updated information regarding eligibility requirements until late April, meaning from late April until September, while the program was still accepting applications, there were no updates from the CRA regarding this information change. What should have happened when the CRA learned that they were miscommunicating? They should have taken appropriate measures to let Canadians know that there was misinformation being passed around, instead of waiting a few days just before Christmas and sending out letters saying, by the way, you owe money to the federal government. There's no sugarcoating this. The CRA clearly messed up big time, especially considering the circumstances. It's a tough situation, I get it. On one hand, I don't want those who have knowingly defrauded the system to get off the hook, as this would be a complete misuse of taxpayer funds. Taxes that you and I pay out of our own pockets on our incomes, on our spending. And we pay a lot of taxes in this country. I would hate for that to be misused. But those that have made honest mistakes, or those that have been caught off guard by the use of terminology in the application process, there should be some wiggle room offered. Ignoring the oversight from the CRA on the use of terminology, these letters are not meant to be a witch hunt, nor are they being sent out randomly. You must keep in mind, the CRA has all of your historical earnings information. So if you knowingly or unknowingly applied for CERB, not meeting the requirements, you will have to pay the money back. Federal NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is urging Canada's government to let Canadians who apply for the CERB payments before the rules change to keep the money until at least after the holiday season. Jagmeet Singh has been very vocal about this process, saying the Liberal government is unfairly penalizing workers for applying for the CERB in good faith. Turning now to the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau has reassured Canadians that if you're not able to pay your CERB back by December 31st of 2020, you can work with the CRA to plan for flexible repayment options to give yourself some more time. The CRA will provide more details about repayment options in the coming weeks and will work with you on a case-by-case basis. Do you have questions for me? Make sure to drop them in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure you've hit that like and subscribe button so I know to produce more content like this. That's it for now. Catch you guys in the next one.